Christmas. And hopefully that fight will be in London. And as I say, work on that and we'll give you news on it. Just before we speak to Bill and to Dominic, I just want to tell you what we've got happening in the new year. On the 10th of February, we're at the Copper Box, and Zolandi Teti will be defending his title on the bill against Hernandez from Argentina. Teti's become a bit of a Brit now. He's based over here, and he's for me, he's one of the pound-for-pound best in the world. Got a great undercard on there featuring all our great prospects, Daniel Dubois, Anthony Yard, and many of our other young kids. On the 7th of April, we'll be in Belfast, where Carl Frampton will be fighting Donaire. It's a real cracking fight, that. It's a good fight for him, and we'll be giving further details of that again in the new year. Selby Warrington is a done deal. That's signed. We'll be announcing the date for that again in the next few weeks. That will take place in Leeds. We've also done a deal for the UK for Terry Flanagan, who's fighting Maurice Hooker for the vacant light welterweight title. Again, we'll be giving the date for that in the new year. Liam Smith, we're in negotiations at the moment with Saddam Ali, the new champion who beat Cotto, and we again will be announcing what's happening with that soon. So we've got 6 world title fights that we're announcing right now, and there'll be plenty more to come over the next few weeks. And the jewel in the crown, this man here, after his win, as I say, we'll be also giving you further details who Bill will be fighting. It won't be Canelo and it won't be Golovkin, because I believe that they will sign to fight for the 5th of May. If they don't, then Bill will jump in, but it looks like that deal's made. But Bill has got to be kept busy, he's got to keep working, he's got to capitalise on what he's done, and this new regime he's got with Dominic, they've got a fantastic understanding together, and it's great to see that, you know, that all our faith in Bill has paid off in the performance that he delivered, and I know that's the first of many great performances we've got to see to come. Sorry, we will see in the future. You've got some questions to ask? You feel free to ask them.
Yeah.
First question. Told Bill to stick to the game plan and not go for a KO. Was there any particular reason why you wanted to go out and stop him?
Yeah, you know, he could have gone out and stopped him. I believe he could have stopped him, but we didn't want to give, you know, Lemieux any chance whatsoever. And, you know, we had a talk before the fight, and I said to Bill, the only chance he's got is if you're in the pocket and he clips you on as you're throwing a combination. This is, you know, the skill in being a boxer is to be able to negotiate your way through 12 rounds. And if I have to put my money on whether Bill's a boxer or a puncher, he's a boxer. He doesn't rely on power. He has got power when he needs it. And as you saw in that fight, he rocked Lemieux a few times. But look, he's had a 2017 started off bad for Bill. You know, he was out for more or less 6 months. And if you look how he's turned it around from the Monroe fight to this fight, you know, it's a fantastic turnaround. And we still need to get the rounds in. You know, we're not, you know, 3 or 4 rounds. He could have probably got rid of Lemieux in 6 or 7. But he needs to get the rounds under his belt. He needs to have the confidence because, you know, Bill's more likely to box his way to a win than knock somebody out. And that's what we're working on. So the Monroe fight, he did 12 rounds. He wasn't the best of fights, but considering what he had to go through to get to that point, it was a very good fight. And then he built on that. And because I knew, you know, he was talking about Martin Murray at Christmas or this fight or that fight, but I thought the way Bill's going, it's going to end up Lemieux. And he went straight back into training camp, and you know, that camp defined him for this fight. He put everything into that camp. And the performance on Saturday night, you know, he said to me, it's the easiest fight I've ever had in my life. He goes, at points I went almost switching off. So we wanted to get the rounds in because Canelo or Golovkin, you know, he's not going to stop them guys. They don't get stopped. It'd be futile trying to have a plan on trying to stop those guys, but he can quite easily outbox them. And the more rounds he does, you know, he's done 24 rounds in the last 6 months. You know, from starting off in a bad place. And that's what he needs. He's going to have another fight, maybe April, get another 12-rounder in. He doesn't want to be anybody too easy because after you've had a fight like you've had on Saturday night, it's no good dropping down a level and, you know, switching yourself off and not preparing. He's got to be building towards his big fight because we're thinking this big fight for Bill's going to come around about September, which will be ideal. So the game plan was always to keep Lemieux under control. And punchers are always scared of fighters like that. If puncher can't land on you, it's always going to create doubt. And that's the thing we wanted to do. If he's going to face Canelo or Golovkin, we want to create the impression that, Bill can do 12 rounds and avoid them big shots, which he can.
Not really. I mean, from the very start of this fight, he seemed to hate me more, and that's what I wanted, a big puncher to hate you. The more you wind them up, the more they want to put more power in to knock you out. And it worked. Even when I got in the ring, I was talking to him when the announcer were calling our names out. I was looking at him and talking to him, and he must have thought in his own head, he's still not shut up. Then I walked over to his corner and he pushed me. When he pushed me, I just knew his head was gone. I knew I set out what I wanted to do. Every professional fighter tell you, when you're going in looking for that knockout, constantly looking, he just wanted to hit me with that. He didn't even want to throw 2 or 3 at me. He didn't like me that much. I rattled him that much. He just wanted to hit me with one big one. And time we looked round, he was 7-8 rounds down, and the game was over for him. But that's a fighter now. That is classed as one of the best in the world, certainly in the top 4. And I've had our sparring sessions done.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So, you know what I mean. And even in camp there, even in camp, getting ready for that, I was getting little niggles. You know what I mean. So, like a little shoulder, a little hand, and I was thinking in my own head, because it was such a big fight, and I was in Canada, I was thinking, I hope I'm going to be all right. Then Dom kept reassuring me every day. Listen, that's nothing. The next day it was nothing. But I just wanted to get from 2 weeks before that fight. I knew I was ready. I just wanted to fight. And obviously the week leading up to the fight, we didn't do no training whatsoever, just rest up. We did a little media workout, and I just knew that I was perfect, ready to let go of.
Is the way you boxed him the way you boxed Golovkin?
I reckon I'd take some of that in there, but listen, I let Dom's been in against Golovkin, obviously with Cal, so that's down to Dom. So whatever Dom comes up with, what game plan, I'm just there to execute. Because to be fair, the other day, it's all we worked on was hitting, slipping off, sliding off, backhand, stepping out, and that was basically the whole fight, wasn't it? Yeah. Basically, that what I did the whole fight was just what we practiced and tactics to do, and it clearly worked. At times I stood there, but just to take a bit of confidence away from him, and. So I would. An element of that performance would be coming in the Golovkin fight, even in the Canelo fight, but there would be slight change, I should imagine, in each fight, depending on which opponent.
Question to all 3 of you: what did you make of David Lemieux's post-fight speech?
Listen, he
Excuse me.
He just got embarrassed in front of his own crowd, his own country. So, he gave me a lot of stick on Twitter. And he was saying what he was going to do and what he wasn't going to do. And I told him at the press conference, I don't want to hear any excuses after. And he said it was the bestest camp he's ever had. It's the best he's ever felt. But after the fight, he hurt his hand in the second round. And his hand in the second round. And
his shoulder was hurting.
His shoulder was hurting, yeah. But look, he can make what he wants. The world could see what happened. Listen, if it was me standing toe to toe having a punch up, it would have been a different outcome. He wouldn't have been standing there saying, "Oh, my shoulder's hurting." It could have been a real entertaining punch up. Everyone get out broke nose and whatnot else. But I didn't need to do that. I got in there, I beat him every round, and just got out and still kept my title.
To be honest, I think he was speaking in French anyway, but I didn't even listen to it. It's a foregone conclusion, then, isn't it? It doesn't matter whether he gives Bill any credit, but probably to save his career or to make him look better, he probably should have said that. I didn't expect what was going to happen, and the best man won on the night, and he completely bamboozled me. But I learned from that. But he's almost like a convicted criminal not standing up in court and saying, "Yeah, well, I did it, and I can be reformed." If he'd have done that, he'd have probably got more coming back from him. I've seen an interview or something where he says, I can beat Billy Joe Saunders and I can beat Golovkin and Canelo. This is post-fight. And I just think, well, he's not going to beat anybody, is he? I mean, whether he gets another chance again, whether HBO are going to waste their money on him, I don't know. But he should have actually given Bill a bit of credit and said, totally prepared for the wrong type of fight. And, I misjudged it. That'd have been better because that's more acceptable, that he could get it wrong. But just saying, if my hand had been better and my shoulder had been all right, I'd have knocked him out. It wouldn't make a difference. You know, he wouldn't have mattered if he'd gone in that ring with a gun. He probably still wouldn't have got hold of Bill on that performance. So, you know, not too concerned in what he said afterwards. Frank?
Well, he'd been better off saying he pulled his shoulder hitting there rather than saying he hurt his hand because he never laid a glove on him. So I don't know how on earth he did that. But it was, I thought it was good, you know, he was obviously talking in French, and I didn't know till afterwards what he was saying, but I thought he was pretty ungracious. But the crowd are not stupid; they see it. Everybody see it. He was HBO. Commentary team were raving over Bill's performance. All the writers afterwards in the States, they were saying it's fantastic, and it was. I think Steve Bunce made a comment. If that had been Floyd Mayweather, everybody was saying how brilliant he was, and that was as good as anything Floyd Mayweather's done. No doubt about that. Great performance.
Not really. He did walk over and said, "Well done, box well," when I was in the ring, and that was it really. But then he done that interview after, so he probably took that back away, didn't he? But look, it doesn't matter what he said or what all his team says. My team got it wrong. My team got it right. His team got it completely wrong. Even if they'd have come up with a better game plan than that, I mean, he was just doing the same thing. He tried to change his game plan in the ring. I felt it. He tried, but you know, he was just getting more shots. He must have thought in his own head, I'll go back to what I'm doing again. He just kept trying to set me up for the big left hand and hook. But he told me, he ruined himself because he told me at the press conference what he was looking for. He said, I'm going to knock you out of a hook once I got him wound up. And that was on the phone interview on the press.
Was that when he had his pants on or his pants off?
He had his pants on. He had his pants off.
Yeah.
And so I knew all along that's what I was waiting for. So, but I've had this sort of pressure before about big hookers, big punchers when I boxed Andy Lee, because Andy Lee's a big puncher as well. So I managed to stay clear of him for 12, and Andy Lee's got more range than I do. So.
And that Australian in the early days.
And the Australian, yeah,
name,
Gerald Fletcher.
Gerald Fletcher, he was coming in. Yeah. He was an underdog in that fight and absolutely poleaxed him. So, you know, Bill is what he is. He's an Olympian. He's done everything. He's a British, Commonwealth, European, world champion. Done it the hard way, and done it. And when I say done it the hard way, basically down to himself.
It was interesting to listen to Steve Bunce's podcast the other day, talking about the Olympians from 2008 who survived, and there's only Billy out of the top 10.
Still there.
I think Frankie Gavin was rated number 1 to be a champion, James Gill then Billy, and as we get into 2018 there's only actually Billy out of that.
No, it was the heavyweight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the heavyweight, David Price, all those, and Bill was about 20-1 I think, or something like that, whatever it was. But the bottom line is, you know, for me, it was always the standout of that Olympics, British, you know, from the British team. And so it's proved, and now, you know, I mean, it's being disrespectful. I think the penny's dropped now. You know, Bill knows what he has to do. He knows the commitment, and as he said himself, which is really important, he fell back in love with boxing. He's got some direction, some, you know, got a good training camp. We do our bit outside the ring, and I think he's going to go out there, and I think next year is going to be a massive year for him. He's finished it on a real big high. Which has been great for British boxing, and next year he can really establish himself and I think he can get into that so-called pound for pound list with if he keeps producing performances like that.
I also think it's a big help that being up in Sheffield with the Ingles, that got lots of alongside Cal Brook, who's back in action soon. You've got the likes of Kid Galahad, and not only that, then you've got the likes of Atif, you got Leo, you got Carl, you got Lee Wood, and they're not, even though they're not on world championship level at the moment, but they all train like it, and it just wakes you up a little bit when you see the way everybody works like a conveyor belt in there, and it gives you more. It gives you more get up and go. I remember when the first day I went to Dom, I'd done a session. I was supposed to be in the gym the next day at 7. I didn't get out of bed till about 9:30. I thought, I missed it. I rang him. I said, Dom, I'm sorry, Dom. It doesn't matter. He went, don't worry. He said, that's because of yesterday. He said, you need a rest. See you at 12. And when I went in there, but the work is second to none. And to be honest with you, I've been around boxing all my life. And the element of work we do here, it's just not hard work, sweat, kill yourself, and away you go. There's a fun element to it as well. and he puts it across well. And all the lads, we work together as a team, and that's a big factor because, you know, when you're in training camp, I've been on them before. It's like you're in prison, locked somewhere in Spain on your own, no one around you. But sometimes you need to communicate with people. You know, where you're talking about rubbish most of the time, but it just makes you a bit happier because you're there to do a job, but also everyone's working together. So I'm very, very grateful that obviously I joined the England team.
I think next time we'll do a fly on the wall documentary. The 2 weeks we had in Toronto was pure comedy, weren't it?
Well, there was fights nearly in there. There was Monopoly got smashed up.
Table tennis, pool.
Table tennis. Everybody. But what I like about it as well, why I fit in so well as well, because everybody, including Dom, is competitive. Whatever it is, everybody wants to win. Whether it's table, I smashed the table tennis rackets up because Cal Brooks smashed me on it, and I couldn't. I was fuming over it. It's just a good fun. You know what I mean? We bring a lot of fun into it as well. It's just not. You got to enjoy it to get your head around things. But I'm truly back in love with it more than ever now, and I didn't think I ever would. But I'm watching. I even watch boxing again now, and before I couldn't even bother to watch a fight unless it was in my weight, and I'll have a little look. Then that'd be about it. So I'm going to buy Box Nation now.
Christmas present.
Yeah.
We'll get him a free subscription, Frank.
Jim's turn it on for him for Christmas.
I've already got it. He knows I've already got it. No, most definitely not. I mean, this time, more or less last year, I've talked about it a few times. I mean, Frank don't need talking about it when I boxed in Scotland. I mean, it was absolutely terrible. To be honest with you, I thought my weight, Frank had to juggle, management had to juggle things around because I was supposed to be on one show, and things wasn't right in camp. But, you know, it was either fight or my belt was gone, and I was thinking, well, I'm going to have to fight. I didn't want to fight. Frank, did I really? I didn't want to fight them more. I just didn't love it. I couldn't be bothered with it. And I got in there and, you know, boxed, but it was an absolute terrible. And I thought, I got out of the ring and I thought, maybe that could be me done. I thought, could be finished. And then I just fell out of love with it for a few months, 4, 5, 6 months. And I met with Frank in that. And I did say to Frank, I don't want to fight no more. I said, I'm done, I'm retired. But then a week later, then he twisted my arm, didn't you, Frank? Yeah. Well, he twisted my arm about an hour or two. Yeah. He's good at doing that. And then, thank God, I went with Adam Booth, trained and that. It was just a little bit too close, but I just needed to be away from home, because all my mates are good mates, but, you know, their way of life is different. Between how you got to live as a fighter. I mean, I can't go to the gym or I eat clean, but then still come out the snooker at 11 o'clock, or, you know, go for a game of football. That's not living the life. I mean, up there in Sheffield, it's constantly like a conveyor belt. You train, you have your food, your supplements, your bed, your train. That's constant, and that is the way it's got to be lived. There's no other better example than Kid Galahad, because he absolutely lives the life to the T-est. And one day you get rewarded big for it, very big. And it's good to live around someone like that, because if I do want to cheat on my diet, the most I can cheat on is a carrot in his fridge.
There's some celery.
Or celery, or a bit of celery. There's not even no sauce there. There ain't even a sauce to spice up a little bit. So, yeah. But, you know, I'm very thankful for the position I'm in now, and I'd just like to thank, obviously, BT Sport and Box Nation. And MTK, and obviously Frank Warren for making, getting the big show on the road. First of all, I thought to myself, I've got to go to Canada, but deep down I knew that I needed something like that, you know, to be fully switched on all cylinders, because there's times where at home people can get a bit complacent. I mean, James DeGale, you know, I thought he rushed his shoulder back a little bit, but I thought he was a little bit complacent as well. And when you're fighting somebody that's coming for that title, you know, probably in America, he's probably living in, I don't know, a shed somewhere, and then he's fighting for that title. That's his everything. That's his big ticket. That's his lottery ticket. And to come there and take it, you know, fair play to him. And boxing, anything can happen. That's the reason why now that I'm with a good team and I can't afford slip-ups at this stage, because if I would have brought my Scottish performance in the ring on Saturday night, I'd have been knocked out in 1 or 2 rounds.
But I always felt, Bill performs better under pressure, providing he's fit and well. And going to Canada, I really did feel would bring the best out of him. More importantly, there was that slot on HBO going out prime time in America, and they've seen Bill now. So there's no avoiding him. If Canelo or Golovkin don't fight him, it's for a reason, and that reason is the performance. Have they got the balls to get in with, and they're both, and I admire them, they're great fighters, great fighters. Have they got the balls to go in with a boxer, somebody who brings something different to fighting one of those guys, and that's going to be an interesting scenario.
Feedback from HBO?
Yeah, they were really pleased. I spoke to Peter Nelson yesterday, and we're going to talk again after Christmas and see where we go. But the most important thing is to keep this momentum going now. We can't afford to let up. Bill can come out of this sport as a very, very wealthy man. If he puts in performances like that and wins fights like that, he can go to another level. There's no doubt about it. I look back, and Dom was involved at the time, with Naz, in the days with Naz. Those performances, early performances of Naz, were extraordinary. I mean, it was just, for me, it was a revelation in British boxing, and that translated into a lot of money. The performance Bill put in was like watching Naz at times in some way. I mean, he's Billy's Joe Saunders, don't get me wrong, but our Naz was so hard to catch, so hard to hit. I mean, he done that even better on the night, didn't he?
He's got the love-hate personality as well. People either love him or hate him, and he pulled a couple of antics out, wound everybody up, and as you said, do that, and people come to see you get beat, or they come to see you to win. Yeah. So it's a good thing for Billy.
Yeah.
Frank, in terms of keeping the momentum going, Danny Jacobs expressed pretty soon after that he'd like to fight in April.
Well, I'm sure he would like to fight, but let's get it, let's be realistic. His last fight was in his hometown, wasn't it? Was it in New York? They didn't even sell 2,000 tickets. Who needs him?
And I would just like to say that, as Frank could tell you, everybody Frank has called me and said fight him. Not ever once have I ever said to Frank no.
Correct.
I read something that Danny Jacobs put on there. We'd like to come to New York. I'm the champion. Why do I want to go to New York? I've already gone to Canada. Why do I want to go to New York? No problem. If they want to fight, let them get in contact with Frank, and Frank will sort it out on our terms. If he wants to come and fight, BT Sport, Box Nation, because I don't need to be going over to America. I'm the champion. And what does he bring to the table? He's with an English promoter because the Americans don't want him. He's a good fighter, but he don't sell in America, and he certainly ain't going to sell in England.
David Lemieux was sold out over there. He filled the arena up. I'm being very honest about it. He's the local guy. They got behind him. Daniel Jacobs put a good performance in against Golovkin, very good performance in against Golovkin, but 2,000 people showed up to see him fight.
And
Who cares? No, we don't care. It doesn't mean anything. Bill's objective next year is to unify the titles. That's what he's not going to unify the titles fighting Daniel Jacobs. Is to unify the titles. And if he does fight Daniel Jacobs, as he said, it'll be on our terms. No one else's, our terms. And that's the end of it. And it won't be on anybody else's show. It'll be on our terms, because see this guy here, he's got this. And that's what matters.
I also think that, people look into Danny Jacobs and they give him all the praise. It's like he lost. Because he had a good loss, everybody's looking at him now saying, oh yeah, he's good, he should have beat. I had him just losing the fight because of the knockdown. But, like I say, if a man wins a fight by 1 round, he should get it. If he wins it by 12 rounds, he should get it. And he genuinely lost that fight by 1 round, maybe 2, but he had an extremely good loss. That's what it was. But at the end of the day, it was still a loss. So he ain't in the position to say, because he's had a good loss, I want Billy Joe Saunders.
Well,
not a problem.
And
he can have me, no problem, but speak to Frank and it will be everything be on our terms, because I want Golovkin or Canelo. I
think a more interesting fight would be for him to move up to super middleweight and fight Truex.
Yeah. No,
if you want to have a fight, wants to box for a title.
But again, you look, and with Jacobs, we all know what he did with Golovkin, a fight he lost. But you look at look at his last fight. Well, he didn't actually set the world on fire, did he, in that fight? So it is what it is. But he's a name now. He's on a list, but he's not at the top of the list. He's down there.
And if the winner of Golovkin and Canelo does come to fruition, and you guys are going to lock horns at the press conference, how much are you going to try and get the fight in the UK?
Right, let's be realistic. If it was Canelo, you're going to go to the States because he's a massive attraction, big pay-per-view over there. Golovkin, we got a chance. That's that's being really realistic. I've got to tell you something, I don't think Canelo will want to fight Bill. I really don't, and I like Canelo. He's as a fighter, he's a really nice guy. We've had him over here a few times. He come to Belfast a couple of weeks ago. Lovely, but I think Bill. I think they look at that. And Abel Sanchez is no slouch. He'll look at that and think, my man might also wind up punching out. But we'll see. Maybe HBO might make it happen.
Which I'm either up for. Listen, both of them, in my eyes, are two men that, obviously, me and Canelo is obviously the same sort of age, but I always remember coming through myself and watching him doing so well. And I remember thinking one day I'd love to fight him. And I've put myself in that position. And Golovkin, I would rather fight Golovkin than the two. Because Golovkin, at the minute, in my eyes, is the unbeatable man that no one ain't beat. So I reckon you get more recognition for beating Golovkin than you would Canelo. But the both of them, in my own head, I'm 100% up for fighting either one of them. I thought Golovkin won the last fight, but personally myself, I think if it goes points again, I wouldn't be surprised if Golovkin do win it but don't get the decision. Or maybe it could be another draw, because they're both the sort of fighters that they're not going to get stopped off each other. It's going to go to points. So Golovkin has to jump on him from round one and don't let him get away with the first 4 or 5 and really make him work. Because if you let Canelo get in his stride a bit, he's world class.
In terms of your next fight, do you want an opponent to
Look, I'll leave that down to my management and Frank Warren. They obviously look after me and do a good job. Whoever they put in front of me, whoever they say fight, I'll fight. If they ring me and say I've got King Kong, I've got King Kong. If they ring me and say I've got Robin Dinkin, I've got Robin Dinkin.
earlier you talked about losing weight, getting focus back. Do you think that's an example for Tyson Fury? That's kind of what you've done.
Most definitely. Tyson now, he's getting the buzz back each day, bit by bit. He can talk your head off about boxing. He talk about it now, where before he wouldn't. But now he's just, because he's seen a little result in himself. He's talking. He's ringing me. He was texting me yesterday, some names over and whatnot else. But I can just tell now that he's full swing back in love with the game, and the game's missed him. What a treat for fans for him back, because the heavyweight division needs him at the minute in England, because without him then there's only one runner, but with him then it gets interesting, because there's Joshua and him both unbeaten, and it's just, I reckon that could be the biggest boxing fight in British history.
Apart from Canelo, there are other sort of star names with big fights that are on the radar.
I got the option. I got the option to move up. Some big fights up there, up the weight. I would love to fight Chirac, to be honest, who beat James DeGale. I would love to fight him. I'll be happy to take him in April if he was willing to come over. As long as I could keep that belt and move up and win that IBF belt, I'll be happy to do that. But listen, I'm concentrating. There's only one. I've got my big eye now on Canelo and Golovkin. That is my main goal. But I would love. It'd be nice to win a world title. I'll only win it and vacate it, and then fight obviously the winner of Golovkin and Canelo. But I love the challenge.
Any more questions?
Dom, you said you're giving Bill 3-4 weeks off. Is he free to do what he wants, or has he got to wait till it come back to?
Well, unless we put him on a tag, we're not going to, get him in control. But listen, there's not many fighters can do a 6-month camp, and that's basically what he did. And you've got to be allowed to switch off, because he had 1 week off between the Monroe fight and on this David Lemieux fight. He came in a bit heavier than I wanted him to, but his fitness was still there. And the first day he came in, he had a hard workout to see where he was, and he handled it. And he started to switch on. But you've got to have time out. So I've said to him, look, 3 or 4 weeks off. He knows enough now to keep on top of his weight. And we said from the off, in the summer when he first came to me, that it's going to be a 12-month building process where we're going to take you all the way around to next year. And hopefully at the end of that, at the end of the next summer, you're going to be fighting one of these big names. But you can't keep, 1 step forward and 3 back. You can't keep doing that. You've done all that. And he had a steady win in September. He's had a brilliant win in December. You can't rest on your laurels. You can't think, oh yeah, that's it now. I've done what I've got to do. I can take it steady. You can't. He's still got to start putting a lot more hard work in. And no matter who he fights in April, he's got to be 100%. He's got to put everything into it because he's building towards the big fight. He's putting everything in the bank. So he can have 4 weeks off. It'd be somewhere in the middle of January he comes back, and then he'll be back into training steady. And Frank's going to sort a date. We're going to talk to Frank, sort out a date. I've said to Frank, as long as you give him 14 to 16 weeks, it won't matter what kind of shape he comes back into camp because he knows what work he's got to do. Bill knows what work he's got to do, how hard it's going to be and how hard he's going to have to diet. So it's down to him. So he'll either keep on it himself or he won't. But it'll only take us, because we know how he works now, it'll take us between 14 and 16 weeks to whip him back into shape. When he first came to the gym in the summer, he was massively overweight, and he must have. I think his first spar he might have been about 13.5 stone, but he still moved. The first spar, and he even said himself, he went, well, I suppose surprisingly well, to say I'm this heavy. I don't think I could believe it himself, because he's always got that. He'll never lose that. And it's just a case, he doesn't, some people don't spar good when they're out of shape, but Billy actually does. So the only thing we've ever got to worry about with Billy is getting his weight right and making him fit. And then the boxing gets sharper and sharper as he moves on. He's never going to lose that. It's like riding a bike and driving a car for Bill. Some boxers, when they've had time out, they come back into the gym and they don't know, they're tripping over their feet. But Bill actually can do it at any kind of weight. So, and sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. But he knows now what's set out in front of him. He's finished the year on a high and he knows what he can achieve. So it's just for him to mess it up. If he wants to mess it up, he'll mess it up. But, he's 28, he's coming up to his prime. He's probably got between 28 and 30, he's going to make the most money in his career and the biggest fights. If he starts, taking it easy now and going off the boil, he's just going to mess himself up and it's down to him. But, we've seen what he's capable of. That fight at the weekend was just, a little build-up for what's going to come. And I'm expecting better performances, against better opponents. And, people say he's got no chance against Canelo or Golovkin. Canelo's boxed Ryan Rhodes, he's boxed Liam Smith, he's boxed Amir Khan. Ryan Rhodes nearly did 12 rounds with him. I know it's a few years back. Liam Smith, I thought, put a decent enough performance in.
Bear in mind, he had problems.
He had a cut. He sparred Kell Brook. He gave Kell Brook a good spar, and he got a bit of a cut, and he had to cut all his sparring back. So when you know what goes off behind the scenes, Liam Smith's performance wasn't that bad. And if Liam Smith, fighting like he fights in that kind of style, can do 7 or 8 rounds with, Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders can do 15, and turn him inside out. So, that's what we've got to look forward to, I think.
I think a lot of people don't believe in it, but I think that a few little mind games like that, like even when Dominic rattled him at the weigh-in, it made no difference because I had to take my boxers off to make the weight as well. Wasn't struggling or nothing, but we left my hotel bang on the weight, Dom.
Yeah.
Bang on the weight. When we got there, I was 2 ounces over, and I was thinking. Pfft. But then, obviously, I knew that he was obviously losing these, and he got on the scales first. So, and just that little mind game when it all kicked off in his own head now, that put in his head that he made the weight wrong probably. So he started doubting himself there. Them little doubts when you play mind games with people, just small little ones, they can be beneficial. Very. So, maybe so, Golovkin. Maybe if I box Golovkin, I might punch into him before the fight, maybe. We'll see. Fist fight, street fight, as he says.
You might have to learn a bit of Spanish, though, to get into his head, I think.
No, not Spanish, Dom.
No?
Kazakhstani.
Well, okay.
Are we done? All good? Lovely. Thank you very much. Wish you all a Merry Christmas, and look forward to seeing you all again in the new year. Oh. Yeah?